Hey guys, Scott and Nate from PlayYourCourt.com, and today Nate is going to show you a super common mistake we see on your transition volley. Hey guys, so today we're talking about transition volleys, and we're going to point out a huge mistake we see a lot of rec players make. This video, to be clear, is for players with the PlayYourCourt rating of 60 and above. If you're not in our community or familiar with our rating system, a PlayYourCourt 60 is the same as a USTA 3.5. So let's go ahead and dive right in.
All right, guys, so we're here today talking about the footwork on the volley. And what I want to start with is just to dispel a couple myths. We've all heard it, and I was a true victim to this, to where all I was told was I step with my left foot or my forehand volley, and I step forward on my right foot with my backhand volley. Although these are correct, this is not what we should be thinking about at any level, from the stages of 2-0 when we're first getting the X's and O's of the game to all the way up to 5-0s. There's still plenty of people that are playing on the baseline at a really high level because they're not sure how to volley. So let's talk about what the true information is that we should be focusing on. And it's fairly simple. What I want to be thinking about on a forehand volley is getting my weight to my right foot. All right, and you can tell this is very specific. This isn't simply me leaning to my right foot or taking a wide step. We're just getting the hip pivoted and stepping out where the knee can load. All right, and what I like to call this move is actually a jab punch, because what you're going to see is on volleys, when I get this step, I load the hip, and then this foot, the left foot that we've heard so much about, will drive forward, and that's where the pace is coming from. The exact same thing is going to happen on the backhand. I'm going to offset the left foot where I load this hip, and I'm going to drive forward with that jab punch on the backhand. So we're not punching, you know, you've heard that on the volley. This is driving with the legs. And it's really important that we understand that this is where the momentum comes from on these volleys. If you're not sure what this should feel like with the footwork, really play with the balance, right? If I'm really able to fall over my knee, it means the step is too shallow, right? I shouldn't have all this weight over my toe with my knee. If I'm too wide, then what you're going to feel is that you really don't have the ability to push off successfully and get to that foot. It should be just offset enough that the hip has mobility to drive forward. The second thing that we're going to talk about is the mistake that a lot of us make with stepping to the ball before we've made contact with the ball with the racket. And this is where the transition footwork comes in. All right, so let's take a look at what we're talking about. So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to work through some live volleys. And the one thing I want you to notice is when my foot is striking the ground. When my foot on a forehand volley, my left foot strikes the ground too early, it causes this whiplash effect that often brings the ball straight down into the net. So let's show you the wrong way, what exactly we're talking about with the mistake. All right, so we can see what's happening is I'm so determined to get to my left foot. The force is dragging the racket through contact, and I'm actually getting on top of the ball. And sometimes we see the ball that way, that we're trying to get power, and we get on top of it, and we end up with this mistake. What I want to be thinking about is going through the volley, not necessarily getting on top, but really this edge driving to the bottom of the net and using the legs to drive through the volley. Let's take a look at what it should look like if it's done correctly. All right, so you can see there my intent is to really keep the racket out in front, but I'm making contact before my left foot strikes the ground. And that's where I'm getting that jab punch, really getting the drive with my legs to create depth and a little bit more pop.
Nate, that is really good instruction, because I can tell you firsthand, even myself as a coach in my early coaching days, honestly thought your foot is supposed to make contact with the ground as you make contact with the ball. So I myself as a coach was even making this mistake coaching some students. So, you know, as my teaching career grew and I learned a bit more about the game, got some certifications, I understood that yes, this is actually the correct way to do it. The way to get way more power and a way more smooth transition on your volley is definitely the method you just went through. So great instruction.
I appreciate it, yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of us that came through playing in the 90s, we heard the instruction, you've probably heard this, step on the scary spider, and it puts this big emphasis on stepping left foot or right foot, and unfortunately it doesn't really tell you how to drive through it and volley with the feet. And if you just really focus on the two main points we talked about today, when you get a volley, make sure you're on the outside foot first, so the corresponding, if it's a forehand, a corresponding leg would be the right, backhand the left, and drive through it, but make sure that you're making contact with the ball before the other foot comes through. So in a forehand volley, I've got to make sure that I make contact before the left foot actually steps down, and that's going to give me a lot more force. And I'm going through that volley, right? Like if you feel like you're going down and you're hitting volleys deep, you're guilty of this. And this is a quick fix, I think, that will rectify that in no time.
Absolutely, guys. I hope this instruction helps with your volleys. One thing I will point out, Nate and I, we just want to see your tennis game improve. We don't know a ton about you, though. A lot of the instruction that we deliver definitely varies for different levels of skill. So do us a favor, click the button below, answer a couple quick questions for us about your game, and we'll send you some custom video coaching based on what you at your skill level need to be working on. Just click the button or the link below, and we'll do the rest.